If you're a Star Wars character and you're not going to be in The Mandalorian Season 2, raise your hand. It's getting ridiculous! Welcome back, everybody. This is the Resistance Broadcast. I'm John. Thanks so much for joining us today. We have a very good show in store for you because a lot of it's all about Mando. Because every time you turn around, there's a new trade or new blog or new Reddit thread or new YouTube video or new tweet or new Facebook post saying this person is going to be in The Mandalorian. It's crazy. So we're going to get into all that and try to figure out what the heck is going on with Mando Season 2. It sounds like it's going to be pretty crowded. But before we do that, James and Lacey with me as always. Guys, we are 1 week away from something we hope is crowded also on Disney Plus one day. Make Solo 2 Happen Day is 1 week from today. May 25th, Monday. A lot of people wondering, what is that? What exactly is this? You guys are just doing an episode? No. What you want to do is hit up all of your social media accounts, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, wherever you post, and use the hashtag MakeSolo2Happen early and often all day on Monday, a week from today, and we're going to try to get that thing going viral and trending once again like we did last year and have some fun with that. But we have a little bit more we're going to get into with that. I know, as you guys know, James worked really hard to get our t-shirt store up at teespring.com/store/resistance broadcast. And we have a lot of cool Make Solo 2 Happen stuff over there. Right, James?
Yes, absolutely. I love that the premium hoodie with the white strings.
I was eyeing the premium hoodie. And we may or may not have some variants coming down the line with that. Is that true or false, James?
You may want to keep an eye out on Make Solo 2 Happen Day. There may be a special edition.
Right on. And with that in mind, if you already have your gear and stuff, take photos, like really do anything involving Solo, your love for Solo, your want for Solo 2 or Solo series, and use the hashtag. We're going to be retweeting it from everywhere, so we're going to blow you guys up on that, and hopefully we make it a great day. But Lacey, in addition to the day itself, that night, we're going to be having some fun too. Why don't you tell everybody what we have planned and how they can potentially get involved?
So first of all, I thought James was going to be like, no, we don't. We don't have anything planned. And you're going to be like, all right, never mind.
Yeah. I don't know what you're talking about, John.
Okay, I digress. Yes, we have some fun stuff planned because of back by popular demand. We're opening up the virtual Cantina the night of Make Solo 2 Happen to kind of do a celebratory, let's get together and talk about Solo and just have fun. Because the first one was a blast. We had so much fun with everyone that we immediately got a ton of messages being like, when's the next one? Yeah. So we wanted this to be a really special thing that doesn't happen all the time. So people... it has some value. Like, I don't think it should be something that's all the time. So we're doing it on Make Solo 2 Happen Day. So you can sign up today, right now. Yep. If you're on Patreon, you can sign up starting at 9 a.m. at patreon.com/resistance broadcast. But don't worry, if you're not a patron, that's okay. You can sign up starting at noon today, Eastern. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And we'll send out a tweet about it.
And if you're listening to this afternoon,
you could already sign up
and still get in there.
Right, because the important thing is there's only so many spots. I can't express enough how many days I stressed about this. I think it was a total of 4 leading up to the first one being like, how am I going to make this happen?
Mm-hmm.
So there's only so many slots because of the way that the different sessions work. So we're going to do it based on first come, first serve.
And you know what's good, though, too, Lacey, what a lot of people seem to enjoy who may not like the idea of being on a call is they can be a part of the live stream and watch it that way, right?
Yes. And also, if you are shy, there were so many people that just said they wanted to just be a part of the call and not say anything. And that's cool, too. If you just want to be a part of the call.
Yeah. We're not calling on people unless they look like
it's not
they
a quiz show.
Yeah.
It's just hanging out.
What do you want, Solo 2?
Yeah.
So the live stream, they can comment in there, right? Like, I'm not even sure really how that goes down.
Yes. So there's going to be a live stream on YouTube and you can join the chat or write in the comments. It's up to you. I think during the live stream, only the chat's open. It's one of those YouTube things. We're going to be responding in there we're just basically building on what we did the first time and doing it better and having more fun. So I hope everyone has a good time.
And the same goes for Make Solo 2 Happen Day itself. Like we're still working on getting some cool and fun stuff done for the day, but obviously there's more expectations than last year. Last year we expected 17 people to use it, but this year
I begged my mom and she was like, I don't have Twitter.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, Sharon.
But it should be a fun day. We look forward to it. I know a lot of people are really excited about it, and they have good memories of celebrating Solo and it being a positive day for Star Wars fans on social media, which is hard to find these days. So we're proud about that, and we look forward to doing that again. But more on that as this week goes on. But again, get ready, because a week from today it's happening. So be a part of it, and let us know what your plans are on that day as well. But now it's time to flip the switch back to things that we don't need to try to make happen, because they are happening, and a lot of it has to do with the Mandalorian. So we're gonna send it to James right now for this week's Resistance Report. What's up, man?
It's the Resistance.
Yeah, that's right. John, you said it right at the beginning, man. There's a lot of Mandalorian Season 2 news, and it's kind of out of control, right? We're doing our best to try to figure out, what is real rumors, what's, seems like it could be plausible, that kind of stuff based on who's reporting it. But before we even get into all the crazy casting announcements, we just want to make sure that everybody knows that Mandalorian Season 2 is delivering on time. And it's not us saying this. This is coming straight from the CEO of Disney, right? He was doing an interview with CNBC, and this is Bob Chapek. I still am not positive of his name. Is it Chapek? We doing Chapek
I think it's
here?
Chapek.
I think it's Chapek.
Chapek.
Chapek. It's
Like
more fun to
Chapek.
Not
say.
Chapstick.
Yeah.
Chip
It's Bob 2. It's Bob number 2.
Bob 2. The other Bob.
Backup Bob.
Said, that in the midst of everything that's going on, he just reassured everybody that despite the fact that, everybody's in lockdowns and stuff, that a lot of this stuff, a lot of the actual production was done beforehand, and then the post-production now is being handled from home, and they plan to have it, locked down in October, like they said. And another comment, too, that I thought was really interesting, it was from Variety, and I'm trying to think here. Who said this? Sorry.
Oh, it was that Hal
I didn't have
Hickel?
this ready. Yes, I was looking for the name, and I'm not seeing it here. But yeah, he mentioned that that the Mandalorian has the regular Avengers style blockbuster movie has about 2,000 visual effects shots, and that this series has about 4,000 for season 1.
Yeah.
And season 2 is no different. Yet they're still knocking it out faster than they even did the last season, and that that everything's moving along just perfectly right now. So in the middle of the tsunami, we're going to get it done so that everybody's going to get their baby Yodas as promised, is what he says. All right, John, I'm going to jump to you first. What do you think about this? Do you think it's good that they're delivering on time?
Yeah, of course. And it's like the no-brainer thing. And we almost didn't report this at Star Wars Newsnet because it's an affirmation more than news, because everything we heard officially was that it was, going to premiere in October, and there were just rumblings of people wondering and conspiring whether or not it was going to be delayed. So it's good of Bob Chapek to come out and say, letting you guys know, all you out there, Mando fans, Disney fans, it's going to be there
Mando
for you in
fandoms.
October. It's just one of those, in such uncertain times where things are just so crazy, and all these productions are being delayed. Concert tours are being delayed. Things are getting punted, canceled. Celebration's probably going to get delayed. For them to just come out and say that is not only a smart move, it's that sort of, comfort security blanket that I felt like Star Wars fans kind of needed. Because, we could have said, well, they haven't delayed it yet, so it's probably October. But for him to come out and say, it's definitely coming in October, worry not, that's a good feeling. So I love that. And there's not much else to say about that. It's just, if it was a normal year and there's no pandemic or anything, and he comes out and says that, we're like, well, you have no kidding. Okay, great job, CEO. But with everything that's going on in the world right now, that's like a big deal. that we know that we're getting our Mando in October and not, March next year or something like that. So in unusual
I like
time.
that analogy, man. It's like Fast and the Furious coming August 18th. Fast and the Furious still coming August 18th is not a story.
Yeah, it's so funny.
But it is.
How in these uncertain times, it's a big deal to have that kind of affirmation of something that we already knew.
Lacey, what do you think about this? Do you think it's a good thing, or do you think they should have utilized the time to maybe bump it up a little bit?
So I'm going to start off with a dumb question. Wasn't Bob's number one still in charge? Didn't he step back in?
I think he went back to handling a lot of the things that he was doing as a CEO instead of handing those responsibilities over.
And he's still
All
chairman.
I know is that I remember people were saying
Yeah.
it was announced that he was stepping back in on Easter, and everyone was making the joke like, God, Jesus rose today and Bob's back at Disney.
Bob's back.
Like,
On the third day, Bob returned.
yeah.
Yeah, that's funny.
He's the chairman, but like they weren't going to relinquish the title of CEO from Chapek because then that's bad optics. So I think
That's what I
Yeah.
thought. So I'm just like confused because I remember seeing that story everywhere, and I was like, oh, Bob's back.
I think it's just like
I'm with you, Lacey.
It's a
I kind
shareholders
of feel
thing.
like I remember hearing that he was like back as CEO.
it's shareholders
but-
saying like you can't bail now. Like we need your leadership during this craziness. And he's like, okay. He's like, I'm still, the chairman. I'm still a part of it. Don't worry, and that sort of thing.
So first Bob's like, here's your Burger King crown. You're still king. Don't worry. Just
Your Burger King crown. You
just
think Bob
kidding.
Iger eats at Burger King?
everybody
he
eats
definitely
everywhere.
has somebody get him Burger King for him.
Do
Yeah.
you think they roll up in like the big Suburban with the blacked out windows, and he's in the back, and he's like, "Get me the Whopper."
He Tony Starks it.
No, he's definitely like, get me the Whopper Jr.
The Whopper Jr. It's like I gotta fit in my sweaters.
Yo, he's
mustard.
fit.
Or whatever.
He's
is
a fit tan man.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, back to Bald Bob, Bald Chapek. Yeah, this isn't really news. It's just like, okay, I'm excited. It's still coming out on time. I think, like you guys said, it's one of those things that because everything is so up in the air all the time, and it's like, it just feels like nonstop bad news, which is understandable in a pandemic, but it's still like you kind of look for those moments of hope and positivity and optimism. So just to like have this moment, they're like, yeah, your show is coming back on time. You're like, thank you. I won one.
Yeah.
So that's
Something I can count
yes,
on.
thank you. But yeah, no, it's exciting. I'm glad Bob's giving us interviews. Good for him. Way to go, Bob.
Yeah, it was in like I think he did like a video, and it's so funny that these Star Wars stories like it's this little tiny sliver of this like big thing, and the whole interview
Sure.
was mainly about how Shanghai Disneyland reopened.
Which it was like a ghost town.
Did you watch the video, the walkthrough that person did?
Yeah.
It's so like sad. Like the employees are wearing masks, just waving to people, and it's just like
They're
I
like,
feel like if they
have
made
a magical day.
like if they made a theme park out of Chernobyl, it'd be like, oh, okay.
Hey, man. I just finished up Chernobyl.
You're like, make
It's
that
not
theme
good.
park? Is that what you're saying?
No, I mean, like, the show's good, but, like, it's not a
I
good
don't wanna know.
situation.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, what else is there to say? I'm glad that it's on time. I asked you, Lacey, which you didn't really get to.
Oh, sorry,
but,
I got distracted.
I kind of threw you for a loop a little bit.
No, it's okay.
I don't think it means anything to, like, hey, let's use this as an excuse to sit around and toy around with the looks of this or anything like that. At the end of the day, that would just cost more money, and like this is not a project that is being affected, so just let it be what it was going to be anyway.
I think
you
they're
know?
very determined, and they know the look and feel of what they're doing, and everything that we've heard from Jon Favreau, especially about season 2, has been very like, we know what the plan is, and we're doing even more than we did season 1 because we know what the plan is.
Sure.
So yeah, the time would make sense if they were forced to not release it on time, but I think they're
Yeah.
if anything, I'm sure with all the park stuff going on at Disney and different productions and movies being pushed next year, I think this is an example where they're like, look, this doesn't need to be affected because it's in post-production. Let's get this done.
Yeah, it's just weird. Like, we almost have more of a chance of this thing getting moved up
Right. Absolutely.
than back because it's a pretty lock-in. I mean, we just got that news. This is unrelated, but we just got the news that the Hamilton thing, which is they were going to sit on, like they already had it done.
Right there.
They were going to sit on it till like 2021 or 22 or something like that. And then they're like, whatever, there's a big pandemic. We need content. Let's put it out, right? It almost seems like more likely that this show was already in the process of being on its way to being completed. It's going to be done, and they're going to be sitting on it for a little while. It's more likely they'd move it up. We're not saying anything. I'm just saying.
Bob's like, we only have so many Ryan Seacrest sing-alongs we can do.
Yeah, right?
I hate Ryan Seacrest.
Episode 2, now streaming on Disney+.
There's only so many costumes Derek Hugh or whatever is now Huff can pull out of his closet.
It's it's kind of like they'll never move it up because they have the date there, so there's no reason to move it up and like rush anything. Or like, what if they want to change things last minute or whatever? But it's like such a funny thing that they finished filming right before all this happened. So it's like it's like when the Han blasts the Falcon just before the Maelstrom closes up and like just gets through that window.
Make
there.
Solo 2 happen.
That's like the nice drop there. That's the Falcon freeing itself, and that's Mandalorian just getting past the pandemic, and post production's there for them, and they can use it as like a victory lap though, even though like this is normal timing for them. And Hal Hickle's like, we can knock this out, and we have to focus more and do stuff at home, but they can be like, well, we just wanted to make sure we got this for you fans because we know you guys need it, and they'll do the whole
PR spin, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, do you guys want to talk about who might be appearing in this said television series?
I said it the other day. It's like Oprah. You're on The Mandalorian, and you're in The Mandalorian, and you're in The Mandalorian.
I think Oprah's actually going to be in The Mandalorian.
Yeah, I think she was rumored. She was working with Apple TV, but that's
she's playing a talk show
anymore.
host to reunite Baby Yoda with his father.
Maury was angry. He's like, what the hell?
Like we've been saying, there's a lot of different characters showing up. I think the first one that we want to talk about is the potential of Boba Fett showing up. Now, this was reported by The Hollywood Reporter that Temuera Morrison would be returning as Boba Fett, and then immediately got into speculation of the possibility that he also might be playing Captain Rex. Really that's the story, right? It's reported that he is involved and he will be in season 2. Lacey, I'm going to jump back at you. What do you think of this?
So here's the thing. For the longest time, John and I said Mandalorian, and I know I'm someone that's definitely said that Boba Fett is overrated. Mostly joking, but there's a little truth in there. So my response to that is like, okay, but at the same time, I know people really, really love this character. So I fall back into that. I'm excited for them. But I'm going to get spicy for a second. I really wish we weren't finding these things out. And I said this online. Like, I feel like we talked about this a little with Clayton. Like, I kind of wish we were finding out these things during the show, because I feel like I'm being robbed of like a really fun surprise moment that would have just been more fun to experience in the moment than months ahead of time. So like, I remember how I felt, how I reacted, and how excited I was for Baby Yoda. So I would have loved to have those moments again, just like with the Darksaber, with these characters as well. And I feel like that's being robbed from me for clicks and stories, which I get it. People need to pay bills and do the news and stuff, but I kind of just wish some of this stuff would be kind of kept under wraps a little bit better. Mm-hmm. But I'm excited for people that love Boba Fett, but, as the official Boba Fett fan club said, until it comes from Lucasfilm, I'm taking it with a pinch of cinnamon.
Yeah. Any comments on Captain Rex?
I'm not a huge Clone Wars person, but again, I know people love that character, so I'm all for it. It makes sense if Ahsoka is in it. It would make sense that he'd be with her.
John, this particular actor has the likelihood of playing more characters than any other actor in Star Wars history, right?
Yeah.
Because he could play Boba Fett, he could play Captain Rex. Theoretically,
it's
he
between-
could play one of 200,000 other
That's
characters,
true.
right?
Yeah.
What about Daniel Logan? He's like,
Yeah.
That's the thing. You can't, like, everyone's always like, oh, get Daniel Logan back. I'm like, you cannot do that because that's not how clones work. It needs to
Yeah.
look exactly
Yeah.
like Jango Fett.
and he falls at the
Yeah.
perfect age right now. Like it's kind of just it lines up right now.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Well, who does? That's who do you mean?
Morrison.
Temuera Morrison.
For Rex, I think. For Boba Fett, it's a little dicier.
Sure.
But that's is it my turn?
Yes, it is. Go
Yes.
ahead.
Oh, sorry. No, my thought.
Welcome to the show, John.
My thoughts are all over on this thing. Like, man. So Boba Fett coming back, it makes you think now: is he then that character that we thought we heard the radio signal, and he's picking
Yeah.
up Fennec Shand? Then maybe that is the case. Temuera Morrison coming back to do that, I think, is great. I don't know that we'll see Boba Fett unmasked. So Boba Fett's supposed to be in his early 40s around this time. Temuera Morrison is 59, so you don't need to DH him. You just leave Boba Fett in his mask. Keep him original trilogy Boba Fett, mysterious. Not packing your bags. We're leaving little kid Boba Fett. Now the Rex thing is interesting because Rex was aged up, so he's older, obviously. And if they were flirting with him being that old dude in Return of the Jedi. Rex is clearly an old guy. If this is 5 years after, that makes a little bit of sense. Maybe you see a little unmasked Temuera Morrison with the hair and the scarring or whatever identifies him to look like Rex. I think that'd be kind of cool, I guess. I'm not thinking you're going to see much of him.
Right.
But what really bothers me a little bit here is the whole fan attachment thing that we were free from with The Mandalorian. So, and I made a joke tweet about this that, I've learned my lesson now. I preface my tweets that I'm kidding around. So people just take it
I love
easy.
that you have to do that now. You're like,
I
this
saw-
is a joke.
So I wrote, just having fun, away put your weapons. That's my new thing. So I wrote, season 1 of The Mandalorian, a lone gunman far from the New Republic, post-Empire, a fresh story with an array of new characters that carry no historic baggage or expectations. Season 2, let's do the ending of Roger Rabbit approach, where it's just like every character bursts through the wall of Toontown, and you have Mickey, Donald, Bugs Bunny, all these animated characters, and that's what I feel like. It's almost like Follow That Bird, that Sesame Street movie, where every character from Muppet History or Sesame Street just pops along. Is like, remember me? Here I am. Episode chapter 10 of The Mandalorian. I was in the Clone Wars. So I don't
Right.
know. It's all kind of crazy to me, and I know we'll touch on more of these actors. But if someone is coming back, I think it makes sense for Temuera Morrison to come back and do some Boba Fett stuff, I guess, especially with the Mandalorian armor and those ties. And some of these other actors would make sense too, based on some of the other stuff that's going on in the Mandalorian. But I don't know. Let's keep going.
Well, yeah, I think you're right. Could just be a voice, right? He could just be doing the voice. In which case, if Captain Rex isn't in the show, but it's just Boba Fett, let's say, then of course you hire this guy to just come in and do the voices, and then he's not on screen.
Do it from
or
his
anything.
home in
You don't
New
have to
Zealand.
worry about, any sort of this connectivity to the age range and all that stuff, right? It just is the voice of Boba Fett, right?
Well, James, one more thing.
Captain
Sorry.
Rex. Yeah, sure.
The main character of The Mandalorian wasn't even in the suit. So it wouldn't be crazy for this guy to not be either. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, get some stunt guy who's still, like, moving around doing things in the industry.
But couldn't
in
it be
down-
D. Bradley Baker then?
No,
for the-
that's another voice actor.
Doesn't he do Rex? He does all the clones.
Oh, for the animated, you mean?
Yeah.
I think for live action, you got to bring this guy in. You got to keep that
Okay.
continuity of the live action there.
I'm just
But I
saying,
mean-
like,
Well,
if
she
you're
brings up a good point,
if
though.
you're
If
just
it
the
is
voice,
just the voice,
why wouldn't you bring in
but here,
D. Bradley?
but
Baker?
it's just the voice of. See, I think the main character here that is likely to be in the show is Boba Fett.
Got
So
it.
if you're getting the voice of Boba Fett, it's got to be this guy.
Right.
If the main character here, the takeaway was Captain Rex is in the show and maybe also Boba Fett, Then you have a question of, well, who's doing the voice? It would make sense to have D. Bradley Baker.
you-
come
I
in 'cause he
disagree.
does the
Could
voice
you
for it.
imagine they bring in D. Bradley Baker and not Ashley?
I mean, we'll get to that in a second because they kind of are doing that to somebody. But
But do you know what I mean? Especially that specific example where you have
But they-
someone
Yeah.
else.
like, so I'm just trying to think, like, production standpoint wise. Temuera Morrison, I guess he still lives in New Zealand, right? Are they gonna fly that guy to LA to do this stuff, or are they gonna like put someone who lives in LA who does like stunt work in the suit and then just have him record stuff like we joke about under a blanket or in his closet with a microphone? You know?
I mean,
I think
yeah.
they would do
I mean,
some.
I don't
I
know.
think they would do a combination of those, and they wouldn't have him come in, but they would send someone out to record it for him.
And that point being, then we're not going to see either Rex, if Rex is even in it. This is all like speculation, or
Sure.
Boba Fett in the show
Yeah.
Sure.
unmasked, because then if you have them unmasked, he has to be there.
Right.
So it's that like weird.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. I think it's interesting because, like I said, I think the only reason Captain Rex is getting brought up is because we just watched the tail end of the Clone Wars,
Right.
and these two characters are very highly connected. And not Boba Fett, Ahsoka, who we already know is in the show. And then you're like, wait a minute, you're bringing in Temuera Morrison, and you know what I mean? Like, where's Rex at this time? And it makes sense that he would probably be around Ahsoka. That's probably his closest connection. You know, it starts making sense that this character could also pop up as well, and I'm curious if they would go that angle. If I had a choice, I want him to be in the show, but he does not need to be anything special. They don't need to like give an episode devoted to him or anything like that. Like if Ahsoka shows up and he's just like over there, I'd be like, boom, that's awesome.
And maybe
that's
says
all
one
they need to
thing.
do.
Yeah.
Yeah, just like one line, we need to get going or something.
Yeah.
You know, like I'd be like, this is great. Although people would say like, why isn't he more of a focus? But to me, I am big on just the fact that they're there and they're acknowledged, you know? So I don't know. And it could be even crazy too. I was pitching to a friend, like, we don't know that some of these other clones didn't die, so they could bring in like actually I'm not positive on this, but is Commander Cody confirmed dead?
I just assumed he was.
Yeah, I kind of assumed he was too. But if he's, you know, roughly the same age or around as Rex, maybe he's still doing something somewhere, you know?
A lot of people were questioning if he would show up as well.
Yeah, Cody, you mean? Yeah.
He's going to be in the Obi-Wan Kenobi series.
Yeah, it's possible.
Kidding.
All right, well, let's get to the next big casting announcement, and that is that Katee Sackhoff is reportedly playing live-action Bo-Katan, Bo-Katan Kryze in The Mandalorian Season 2. This came from Slash Film, and I don't know. This is something that I feel was very obvious before even Season 1 happened, and it never came to fruition, and now I'm starting to think that they're just that far ahead. Lacey, do you want to talk about this a little bit? What are your thoughts on this casting?
I actually want to hear your thoughts, James, because I know you were the one that leading up to The Mandalorian, you were like, oh, she was saying like, oh, I signed an NDA. And you were like, that clearly means she's in the show. And then it didn't happen. And I remember you talking about it being like, she never showed. And so when this came out, I actually thought of that, of you talking about it. So I'm interested to see what you think.
It's weird because when they get into like Rebels and Resistance and Clone Wars and even The Mandalorian, it always feels like they're really ahead of schedule on things. Like they know exactly what they're doing. What's weird is that like some of the other TV shows are kind of falling, like Obi-Wan and stuff. It seems like they're kind of wishy-washy with that stuff. But
I wonder if it's Dave
Mandalorian,
Filoni because he's involved and he's done these shows.
Well, I think it's Favreau too.
Right.
I think it's weird. We hear these stories. It's like Favreau's already working on season 3, you know, and it's like
from his own
okay.
mouth.
So
he's like, yeah, I'm working on 3.
So at this point, right now, has he already locked in the actor that's going to be playing, you know, returning character so and so right now?
Right.
And season 2 isn't even out. That's almost what I'm thinking is the whole Katee Sackhoff situation. I think she was locked for season 2 before season 1 came out. So when she was like, she knew about it, or she was, kind of being questioned about it, she was maybe letting on a little bit too much that she was somewhat involved.
Right.
And then we're all like, oh, well, then this is definitely happening. And then when it never happens, we're all like, what? That's weird. That's my personal take on it. John, what do you think?
I mean, so this, everyone's pointing to the whole Darksaber thing, and like this is going to be, she gets injected into this story to explain how Moff Gideon became in possession of the Darksaber and became like the Mandalore or whatever.
Mm-hmm. The Mandalorian, I think.
Yes. So maybe that becomes more of an ominous name as opposed to just we're calling the Mandalorian,
Yeah.
But I was trying to look up, I was just looking at my phone, I was just trying to look up the character's age again to try to make those comps. And I know like Katee Sackhoff is like 40. I don't know how old Bo-Katan's supposed to be in the Clone Wars. Like, is she in her 30s?
I tried looking it up and I can't find
That's
anybody.
the thing. Matt and Martin said that he's like, we don't give like birth dates unless we need to or something like that.
Which is so smart. Way to go, Matt Martin.
But you got to figure, so let's say she's of age or whatever, that's fine. You figure if Bo-Katan's going to show up and she's the voice of the character, you flip a coin. Is she going to show her face or not? She doesn't really need to. She can be masked and that's fine in her armor. And you hear her voice and she's her. It's just, again, it's another one of those things though. It's like, I was so into like Filoni and his like Star Wars education that he calls it and like taking his next step in live action. But I feel like this is almost like pulling himself back and like, it's like when you graduate college and then you go home and you start hanging out with your high school friends again and you start doing all that same stuff and you're like, I'm just kind of doing that same stuff again. It's like every time I hear him doing stuff where they're tossing Ahsoka back in the mix and all this stuff that he came up doing Star Wars, I feel like that pulls him back for me a little bit in storytelling. So, and I know a lot of people disagree with that, but it's just like, it's almost like he made Star Wars Resistance so he can say, like, look, I made Star Wars something with Star Wars that doesn't have Ahsoka in it. It's like Clone Wars, Ahsoka, Rebels, Ahsoka, Mandalorian, Ahsoka. It's like, all right, we get it, man. You love Ahsoka, and then everything that revolves around it. I know we're talking about Bo-Katan here, but it's just like those types of things come to my mind. And I guess my biggest fear about all this is fans, especially of the Clone Wars, love it so much, and you saw that so much when it ended, like. Everyone was psyched about it. They thought it was a great finale. It wasn't like a Seinfeld situation or Game of Thrones where they thought they punted it. Like everyone loved this finale. I liked The Mandalorian because everyone started on page 1 together and it was all these new characters and there was no fan baggage or anything like that. And now it can be a situation where like, oh, I can't believe they did that to Bo-Katan. I can't believe they made Rex look like that. I can't believe Ahsoka wasn't Ashley Eckstein. I can't believe they brought Boba Fett back and he had 2 lines again. I can't friggin' believe they did that to him. It's like, when are they gonna actually do this whole thing that they're saying with these new stories? And I know we're saying make Solo 2 happen, and I know that's ironic, but for The Mandalorian, it was supposed to be this new thing. And they're just like, and maybe, like you say, if this was their idea from the beginning, fine. That's fine, but it's a little disappointing to me. And I'm not trying to be a bummer about it, because I'm sure I'll like it, and they'll do it well, because Favreau's king. Mm-hmm. But do you see what I'm saying with that a little bit? Even if you don't agree, do you, like...
I do.
Yeah, okay.
I 100% agree with that, but it's weird because I also 100% agree with like, how do you tell some of these stories without getting certain characters involved, But at the same time, there's a good argument. Like, I understand like Ahsoka should probably be involved to this case, or Bo-Katan Sabine should probably be involved to some case, Yeah. But it's weird because the only reason I think Ahsoka would be involved is because, this and this and this. Well, then where's Luke? What's Luke doing at this time? Because he should be involved as well.
Right.
So it starts to kind of get a little weird, but
the Sebastian Stan
I agree.
Stuff comes out again.
Yeah, no. Sebastian Stan involved in no, I mean I think that would be cool if they did that, if they wanted to do like what they did in Rise of Skywalker and just give like Luke a scene, like if they did a live action like CG younger Luke with the Ahsoka, and then that they're giving you a live action version of them meeting, that could be neat. I mean, even if it's just like a flashback thing.
They can do. Did you see that like Indiana Jones deepfake with what's his name?
Yeah, Tom Selleck. Or no, that was James Bond.
No, not Tom Selleck.
The Indiana.
The guy.
No, it
from Jurassic
was.
World
It was Tom
that everybody
Selleck
wants
as
to be
James Bond
Chris
is what I was
Pratt.
thinking
Pratt.
of.
Chris Pratt, yes. Chris Pratt as Indiana Jones, and it looked like seamless.
I thought Tom Holland as Michael J. Fox was the best one I've seen.
That was good too. So, and they did Robert Downey Jr. as Doc.
Yeah.
Like they could do it. Like they
It's
could
scary.
probably bring Luke back if they wanted to.
Probably.
What's weird is that's not the technology that ILM uses.
I know.
Yeah.
And it's kind of strange because people complain about, Rogue One, for instance, and then you see like a guy on YouTube
Being Keanu
that, like,
Reeves.
makes
Yeah.
this awesome video, and you're like, okay, now what is that technology in ILM's hand?
Yeah.
I don't know. Did they just not have faith in that at all? Because I feel like if anybody was going to utilize that technology with supercomputers, they could probably do it. What are we talking about again? Katee Sackhoff with Bo-Katan?
Well, we should just get into the next one because he's getting interesting. More and more interesting.
Yeah, I mean, and so then there's. Let's talk about it. We're hearing Ahsoka is coming back. We're hearing Boba Fett and Captain Rex is coming back. We're also hearing now that Bo-Katan is coming back, and it's still being rumored around now. Noah Outlaw on Twitter says he's hearing from a lot of people that Sabine Wren is rumored to come back in Mando season 2. And again, this is kind of one of those things where it's like all of her friends are over here, so why wouldn't she be there too? Any thoughts on this, Lacey, about Sabine Wren being in Mandalorian season 2?
I'm not a huge Sabine fan, but I kind of laughed a little bit when I read this because it's like being played by WWE wrestler Sasha Banks.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Not that I don't think wrestlers are good actors. It's fine, guys. It's just funny that it's just by WWE wrestler. But at the same time, he hired an MMA fighter to play a main character in his show. So it isn't weird for Jon Favreau to be like, you know what? Let me give this person a chance because they've shown me that they can do it. And I don't know. I just feel like I go back to it. It's the Oprah thing. It's like everybody and their brother is in this show now. Like every Star Wars character. And I fall back to kind of what John was saying, which is the thing I loved about The Mandalorian was that it was new, it was different, and it was characters that I didn't know. And that's what I liked about it because it was something new that no one can say that they knew better than me. No one can claim that they're a bigger fan than me. No one can claim that, this character isn't supposed to be this way because we're all the same. We're all in the same boat. We're just learning about these things. So I get nervous when I see characters that everybody, especially ones with huge, like passionate fan bases like Ahsoka or Boba Fett coming into a show like this, just for the same reason that John said, which is like, I could just see it backfiring on them no matter what, because everybody has expectations. They have expectations with Luke Skywalker, with Leia, with Rey, with Kylo Ren, with Ben Solo, with everybody. There's always expectations, and if you don't meet them, people get angry. And I'm not saying they're not allowed to be angry because everybody feels passionately about Star Wars and has their own connection to it, and that's fine. I just liked living in this period of time where we were all liking The Mandalorian, and it was the one thing that we could all agree on was awesome. So I'd like to keep that going for as long as possible.
Man, I hear that like 100%. But I also think back to The Mandalorian and what gets me excited about season 2, and it's the Darksaber stuff.
Oh, of course.
Which is like, I would be excited for the show to continue on, and I'd be like, oh, okay, it's him and Tiny, and they're going on these new adventures and stuff, and they could kind of tease it up, and they could be like, hey, they're going to be going to these planets and meeting these people or something, whatever, and I'd be excited about it. But the fact that I know that I have that connection to another story gets me even more excited about it. Like, because the Darksaber is there, that's why they hold it off as the big reveal, as the cliffhanger of that first season.
Yeah.
Who
Because
does anybody
I think
supposed to have
the
it?
connectivity is what makes you go, bah, crazy.
Sure,
right?
Sure.
Yeah.
Is anybody supposed to have it after him, as of we know of, or right now it is where it is, the Darksaber?
He has it.
I know he has it, but is any
but
content
she's
after
saying, like,
this? Does someone have it?
Pre The Force
I don't
Awakens,
think
does
so.
a character have it or anything? No.
Okay, so that's kind of
He's
exciting. So
the
they don't
end
have
result,
to go
yeah.
backwards then. Like, they don't
No, well,
have to go backwards.
Some people think they may use Bo-Katan as a flashback scene and showing how he got it from her.
Well, that's
Lacey,
fine.
I know you're not like caught up on the animated stuff, so to give like the brief history, we saw it in the Clone Wars, and then Maul got it in the Clone Wars and had it, and then the next we see it was in Rebels. Ezra took it from Maul and gave it to Sabine, and she was supposed to be the ruler of Mandalore, and she was like, I can't do this responsibility, so she gave it to Bo-Katan, and Bo-Katan was like, all right, fine, I will be the leader of Mandalore.
Right, so the question is, how did it go from Bo-Katan to...
So it's been about 10 years, and we're not...
Is it more likely a flashback, or is it going to be her like showing up to try to take it back?
My problem is like linking
kind of
everything in timeline-wise. Like, I'm so bad with like time, with the exception of like obviously the main movies, like all the books and stuff. I'm always like, did this happen before or after this? Like...
Yeah, well, you just gotta remember, like, Rebels is always right around episode 4.
Sure.
And like try to do that.
Yeah.
Okay, so they could potentially do a flashback, but like you said, James, the thing that makes you excited, they don't necessarily have to pull in older characters, though. They could just do a flashback, and that could be it, and then move forward. Or are you saying what got you excited is that they could potentially bring in characters that you know?
Well, it doesn't matter. Like, either way, the fact that they're... I think one of the discussions that we're having is, should they be bringing in things that have baggage?
Right.
Yeah.
All Star Wars is baggage.
And I'm saying, I get that. I totally get that. Why can't it just be clean in what it is? The show's called The Mandalorian, so you have to think that you have to reference and do a lot of this stuff that revolves around their culture. And a lot of that stuff happened in Clone Wars, and it happened in Rebels, because it didn't happen in the movies.
And you have to explain
so
that.
So then now you have Dave Filoni, who's a showrunner for this live action series, and when you know it, he was also the showrunner on the only other two things that involve the Mandalorian and their culture.
Well, I think Favreau's
so it almost
kind
of makes sense that all of the I think they're right?
Not by title.
Maybe not. Okay, but when you think of whose show it is, it's Favreau.
Depends on what fan you ask.
Yeah, I get that, but I've always seen them as kind of like they're both handling.
Yeah,
that.
they're like co-doing things. But the other part of that too, James, is I get what you're saying too. Is they have to kind of bring in some of these characters because they have to explain the significance of it without going into too much detail, because otherwise, just people that aren't Star Wars fans are going to be lost. So they have to do a little explaining. So I'm interested to see how they do that.
Yeah,
And they can't let the show get hijacked either.
Right.
Yeah, which I always thought Rebels did a really good job at it. Sure. Just when you think the show's going to turn into somebody else's show, it doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
But the Rebels is 24 episodes. This is 8.
No. I understand. Yeah. I understand. I'm just saying I think Dave Filoni does a good job at like not being like, well, they kind of lose track of Ezra after season 3, and he's not the main character anymore.
Yeah.
Like I don't think they do that. They would go into like these branches with the other characters, but it was at the core always this person's story.
I have 2 more points on this whole thing.
I have a question. Mm-hmm. How do you guys feel about Sabine Wren being played by a wrestler?
So that was one of my points.
Oh, well, there you go. You're
so
welcome.
people are like, so this wrestler has, she looks a little bit like she could be Sabine. She also has purple hair when she wrestles, and Sabine has like purple hair, so she must be playing Sabine. It's like, maybe Sasha Banks.
Well, she was rumored long before, right? Didn't we hear that this particular actress was involved with The Mandalorian like
just that
while ago?
Just that she's in the show.
No, yeah, exactly.
Right.
So
people are just taking the fact that she's involved with the show and trying to connect the dots with her to Sabine. That's all.
People know you can dye hair, right?
Yeah, so I mean, the fact that she hasn't acted at all, because Gina Carano was in movies. She was in Deadpool. You know, she's been in big movies and has been in those situations and acted before. Sasha Banks has literally done nothing besides wrestling. So that's like a bit... that's
which is kind of acting, but not acting.
Which means she's not going to have a big role. Let's put it this way. So whether she's playing a fighter in a bar who faces off against, Cara Dune, or she plays Sabine, that means Sabine's going to be in the show for 11 seconds,
Sure.
And then the other thing, back to the Katee Sackhoff thing real quick. This has to, devastate Ashley Eckstein, because she wanted to play the role, or at least audition for it. Didn't get a shot. Rosario Dawson gets the role, and then she sees another Clone Wars voice actor get the role she played, and she's going to be playing that in live action. Not getting the shot alone is probably upsetting, especially when it's like Filoni saying like we're not giving you a shot here. But seeing another actor from the Clone Wars do the exact same thing you wanted to just audition for has to be just like a kick to the face. There's no other way to put it.
Right, because we hear that she tried to audition for it or wanted to?
I don't know. It's a lot of rumblings out there.
I think it's weird, man. I don't know. I would hate to be Ashley's friend right now because I'd be like, I don't know. That makes sense to me.
I know, but it's like
to
her
me,
life legacy is Ahsoka.
I know, but you don't look like Ahsoka, and you're not known for your live action roles.
Right, but Pedro didn't do like all season 1 Mandalorian, and he voiced it.
But he's wearing a helmet.
Yeah, that's different.
Yeah, I guess.
Like, I don't know much about Katee Sackhoff's live action resume, to be honest with you.
She's in Battlestar Galactica, right?
To be honest, I feel like she's known as an actor.
Okay.
She
like,
is. She is.
Been in movies, she's been in TV shows, and that's her career. It just so happens she was also a voice in this show.
I guess I'm just saying it has to be the salt on the wound to not be cliche about it.
It's definitely devastating.
Like, you're upset already, and then you hear like that, and you're like, oh.
Yeah.
Man.
And again, she released a statement saying she understands it and she hoped. But like we read into that statement and it sounded like she was definitely hurting, and I feel for her. I feel terrible if this is... Because again, all these aren't official from Lucasfilm, so we're taking them to the extent of they're coming from major trades, but at the same time, there is a chance that they could be wrong.
Well, yeah. And also, she's the only one with an income in the family right now. David Eckstein retired from baseball a while ago. I don't know what he's doing. I'm just kind of kidding around. But she probably wants to stay...
He runs the business with her.
Yeah, but I'm saying she probably wants to stay in good graces with them in case they want to bring Ahsoka back for animated and, video games and other stuff. She doesn't want to burn bridges, but I'm sure behind the scenes she's probably pretty cut up about it.
Yeah. It's kind of funny, too. Like, all of this news with new actors coming in and being announced for so-and-so. I mean, we didn't even talk about the ones that we, like, kind of just rumor reviewed it. Rumor and theory review. Like Hayden Christensen being associated with projects coming up, Natalie Portman being associated with projects coming up. It's like, get out of here. Like, I just feel like, I don't know if it was you, John, or Lacey, but one of you said recently that you were discussing with someone and they said, I'm sick of the announcements of the people who are involved in the projects. Tell us about the projects.
I think I said that.
I didn't say that.
Just you?
Yeah, John.
I thought you said you were talking to someone and that was the vibe. It doesn't really matter. And it's almost like messed with my head since then because I've been like, yeah. So I don't want to hear Hayden Christensen involved in a future project. You know what I mean? It's like, I just want to hear, like, I don't know. I just want to hear what is going on. I want to hear the canon story. I want to hear the project, what is happening. And I am getting tired of hearing about so-and-so writer was fired and they're bringing in so-and-so writer. Yeah. And now this new person's the showrunner. And now this other person who worked on the show is doing a show.
James ready?
It's like,
Mad Lib
so
Star
sick of
Wars.
this.
Kathleen Kennedy's in her.
No, it is.
She has her notepad. She's like, blank is developing a blank for Disney Plus with co-written by blank.
She's looking at Michelle being like, give me an adjective.
What should we call it? What's the working project for this? Just call it Untitled Star Wars Movie, and we'll just put like 2034 on it, and then we'll worry about it later.
Yeah. That's the thing is like the Mad Libs is like, it's just full of like writer, showrunner, director,
developing.
It's just all these things, actor, and it's like all of these real people and none of it is like actually like right in a popular a thing unless it's like a rumor. You know what I mean?
J.D. Dillard is writing and executive producing a Star Wars movie.
Yes, which is the real story, but then what we talk about is is it this project or this project or this project or this
And it
project?
always ends
or
with,
completely unknown
Where
project.
the hell's Ryan Johnson?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert.
And all I
Ryan's
want to
still
hear
on.
is like the announcement of a real, like the last real official announcement we got of anything was that Kenobi was happening, right?
Yeah.
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 Which was
Jeez.
August.
Yeah.
Not even like a new animated show or anything.
Did you guys know that
It's
Ryan
just
Johnson
like-
is writing a new Star Wars trilogy and directing the first one only?
What?
What?
I was on StarWars.com in 2017. I don't know if you guys saw that.
All right.
geez.
Well, that's pretty much all we can talk about on the Resistance report. So let's head over to the next segment. Lacey?
Time for the Scoundrels rundown, because I'm a scoundrel, apparently. Punch on 3. 1, 2, 3. Punch it.
Punch it.
Sheet.
What was that accent?
Punchit.
That was weird.
Bob Punchett is the CEO now.
All right. On Thursday's episode, we'll be joined by the author of The Making of the Empire Strikes Back, who last year revealed to us that George Lucas hated Mara Jade. That was insane. People really got offended by
That took off.
which made me laugh. Which is funny because that Robot Chicken clip that I always tweet with George, where he's so funny, he's like, I didn't invent Mara Jade, get out.
Yeah.
Which is exactly what. Anyway, we'll see what other fun stuff we can get into this time with J.W. Rinsler as he joins us to discuss Empire on its 40th anniversary. I know John is super pumped. Empire is his favorite movie.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a good day for John. Us too, but especially John. All right. Become a Resistance officer. If you'd like access to more content or would just like to support us, join us now at patreon.com/resistancebroadcast. You'll immediately gain access to exclusive content, including 8 mini episodes, monthly Q&As, polls, behind-the-scenes videos, and you qualify for the other benefits that come with being a Resistance officer at each tier. So if you are thinking about joining, now is the time. And like I said earlier, guys, you get special access to all different types of stuff, including early signups for the virtual Cantina. So yes, we want to send a special thank you to our generals, which is Mello, aka Grey Jedi, Andrew Staley, Jeremy Myers, Neel Shah, David Probus, John Risi, Micah Harrison, Tampa Movie Guy, Michael Gaines, Jetta Rosewater, Beer Fett, and Val Trichkoff. Thank you guys so much. And again, guys, fun fact of the day. We have moved our merch store to teespring.com. Head over to teespring.com/stores/resistance broadcast to find TRB gear, which includes updates to current designs, new apparel options, and some new designs, including the Mando fan show and All the Sith t-shirt featuring the one true Emperor. You guys asked for a Mando fan show shirt. It's up there. Go get one.
I have to get a Mando fan show shirt.
I know, so do I. So just
by the
ignore
way-
that. You get one too.
And by the way, too, like one of the reasons we moved over to Teespring was so that we could do fun, random things like flash sales.
Yes. So you guys better be following us on Twitter at RBATSWN.
Did we change the handle?
No, I might.
RBATWWW.StarWarsNews.
RBATSWNN. I apologize. My brain was moving faster than my mouth. Happens a lot. Yeah, make sure you're following us there because we put up like 1 hour sales, $15 t-shirts. It's pretty sweet.
Yeah,
Promo codes, other
I know,
fun things like
this
that,
is the rundown, but James like popped in. He's like, guys, let's just do a 1 hour sale, like in 20 minutes.
Yeah,
We're like,
I did.
All right.
Because I don't know. It was coming up, and I was like, oh, this would be a good time to do it. I bet I could ask them.
It's
and,
just fun. We like to do fun things.
And then the
That'd be
first
cool.
sale that went through, James was like, someone bought a shirt in the flash sale.
All right. Also, last but not least, remember to check out the Mando Fan Show, which comes out every Friday on our YouTube channel and the podcast feed. We're reviewing the Disney Gallery series, the docu-series about The Mandalorian. It's been awesome so far, so make sure that you're catching up yourself every Friday. We already have 2 episodes up First episode is episode 1 and 2 of the series, and then we go into episode 3. It's a good time. We love that show. We were excited to bring it back, so definitely check it out. So now we're going to go...
We did episode 3 last Friday.
Yeah.
But it was our second
It was
episode.
our second episode of the docuseries. Sorry, that was a little confusing. We reviewed 1, 2, and 3. They're over there. YouTube podcast feed. All right. So now we're going to go to John with Ask the Resistance. So until next time, Chewie, get us out of here.
Okay, that is right. It is time for Ask the Resistance.
I've been wondering, what are midichlorians?
Okay, Lacey, this first one is going to you. This is from Carla Wilson at Formula One Nana. So she is a Nana who likes to race very fast cars, apparently. So Carla, I hope you're safe out there racing around the tracks. Asked, why did they kill Ben? And I assume she meant Solo. So.
Oh, geez, Carla. First of all, hello. Hope you are well, Carla.
She's talking about Spider-Man.
So Uncle Ben had to die so that Peter Parker could learn his hero's journey and know that he could put on the suit as Spider-Man, and know that his choices could make a difference inside the MCU. No, I know that's not what you mean. So honestly, this is like the toughest question I've gotten ever. And the reason because it's a real hot topic. So I'm going to give you a 2-part answer. My first part of the answer is they had to kill him because he did a lot of terrible things. So he had to atone for them within the series. And I'm not saying this for my own personal, like, that's what I wanted for the character, because it isn't, which is why this is a 2-part answer. But tons of people that I talk to have said that. They're like, there's no way that guy could have a happy ending. He killed so many people. Like, he did terrible things. Like, he had to kind of atone for those mistakes that he's made. Also, he did the one thing that Anakin couldn't do, and I said this back in the review for The Rise of Skywalker, which was he saved the woman that he did care about, which Anakin couldn't do with Padme. He did it with Rey. He gave his life for her, so there had to be a 1-to-1 relation with that. So he gave his life, he died, Rey went on to live and carry on the Skywalker name and become the future Jedi that I'm sure we're going to get more movies with. On a personal side, I'm not happy he died. I think leading up to The Rise of Skywalker, I said numerous times, there's no way they're going to kill him. He's Han and Leia's son. They would never do that. And they did. It's not my character. It's not my decision. I respect JJ in the sense that he's the one that wrote the character, came up with Ben, came up with Kylo Ren, knew what the character's journey was always going to be. And I think we learned that more through our conversation last week with Eunice than ever before, is that JJ and Kathleen had a very clear idea of what they wanted for their characters. So I don't think it's fair for me to be angry or upset with where they took Ben, but am I happy about it? No. I really wanted him to be Ben Solo, but crappy stuff happens to characters that we love, and it makes the story more meaningful sometimes when things don't go the way we want them to. So that's my answer. I am still sad about Ben. Hope that gave you some type of answer, Carla.
Right on.
Yeah.
Well done.
Thanks.
All right. James, you are
painful.
up. This is from Darth Mucky. He is a commander, actually, on Patreon. So thank you for this question here, Mr. Mucky, or Darth. Sorry.
I just think of the Pokemon Mucky, like the...
Yeah. So he asked, seeing as though we have background on Ahsoka following her faked death, do you think there may be a novel or animated show discussing Captain Rex after Clone Wars to Rebels?
I think I mentioned this. I don't know exactly what I did, but when the series finale came out, my nephew contacted me to say, hey, what's going on with these characters, and do you think they'll do this? And one of the things that he mentioned that I hadn't thought of is an explanation of how Rex, who is alone in the fact that he has the chip fixed, or it's been removed or whatever you want to explain it as, but he's fine. And then the next time we see him, he's got a couple of his other close clone buddies who also, are fixed or okay, Tucking Wolf and Gregor and them,
Mm-hmm.
So, he said, because he likes the movies, but he was like really got his young impressionable mind with the Clone Wars, right? So he was really interested in how that connects. And I thought, that's great. I want to hear that story too. The Ahsoka novel really doesn't talk too much about Rex particularly. And I think that he's kind of open to whatever story we want to do in this time frame. So I say I would love to see it, but I think the question here is, do we think we're going to get a novel or an animated show? And between the two, I got to think someone's going to write a novel.
Yeah.
And I think that novel is going to be, Rex on his own adventure, and he'll bring in some new characters we've never met before to help him save his brothers. And it's risky because what the heck, dude, these guys are like messed up,
Right.
But I'm first in line to buy that novel. I've already got it pre-ordered.
I know. Okay. Last one here by Marty Beaumont at Marty Beaumont. Way to get your handle, Marty. Good job. I'm proud of you, Marty. Marty, look at me. I'm proud of you. All right. Marty asks, what do you think the plot will be for the Kenobi series? Just debating this with my son and would love to hear your thoughts on potential storylines and character tie-ins. So I was thinking about this, and if they're going to keep it as a like a limited mini-series, I think it's going to be a twofold type of situation where you're going to have Yoda and Qui-Gon kind of preparing Obi-Wan on how to train Luke and make sure that they don't lose him to the dark side the way they lost Anakin. I think that's going to be the biggest focus. I think you're going to get a 9-year-old kid as a Luke Skywalker that is going to be in this show because it makes sense, because Luke showed that he knew exactly who Ben Kenobi was when he saw him in A New Hope. So they have encountered each other before. It wouldn't be forced. It wouldn't be weird. And then the other part, I could see Palpatine almost in a similar way where we see like he wanted to go after Rey as a child, sending people to go after Luke. And sending these people out to go find Luke, and whether that's like the from Rebels, the assassins.
Oh, the Inquisitors.
Yes, like the Inquisitors after Luke, and maybe Obi-Wan is kind of that wall in front of Luke to protect him, to save him from the outskirts, and he can't really reveal why. And then you have Uncle Owen. There's gonna be tension between him and Ben, because Ben can't fully explain why he's doing that for Luke. So I think there's gonna be a lot of that. Stay away from him. He's my son now, kind of like a Clark Kent and his father Jonathan sort of situation. So I think a lot of those types of beats, and make it a personal story, but also without making it ridiculous and have Obi-Wan do all these ridiculous things he shouldn't be doing during that time. So that's my take. I don't know. Let me know what you and your son thought. Who was I more aligned with? And then we'll talk about it later on. But appreciate the question. But that takes us to the end of the show, guys. We are up against it, so we got to get out of here because we have more stuff to get done here. But we want to thank you so much for joining us. Make sure you are following us on Twitter, as Lacey said, at RBATSWNN. Make sure you're subscribed.
That's the right one.
Yeah. Make sure you're subscribed to us on Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, Spotify, YouTube, Podbean, wherever you find your podcast. We'll be there, including the Mando Fan Show also. And make sure you're heading to StarWarsNewsNet.com every day for your latest Star Wars news, reviews, editorials, information, and more. Make Solo 2 happen day 1 week from today. Use the hashtag everywhere possible and do it as much as possible, because we're going to do some sort of a giveaway. We'll release more info on that later on in the week. But just make sure you're ready. It's going to be a fun day, and that's what's most important. You guys can find me on Twitter at Johnny Hoey and writing and editing at StarWarsNewsNet.com. James?
You can find me at Myra Trunks. Right there.
Smooth. That post-production.
That's on Twitter and Instagram, by the way.
Yeah. Lacey?
People can find me still missing Ben Solo because it still hurts. At Lacey Gilleran on Instagram and Twitter. That question really was like a knife. Or even like a lightsaber right to the chest, like he did with Han Solo.
Being so dramatic, Lacey.
Yeah. Just really
That's so 2019.
Yeah.
All right.
Aren't people over it by now?
So
Come on, seriously.
we hope you guys enjoy your week. We will see you on Thursday for the 40th anniversary of The Empire Strikes Back, with who better than J.W. Rinsler is going to join us to talk all about the making of The Empire Strikes Back, his famous book, and just feed our questions to him and learn more about what went on with making that movie and why it's been such a classic over all this time and all that good stuff. So enjoy your weeks, and we'll see you Thursday morning right here on the Resistance broadcast. We'll see you around, kids.